live streaming.
Do we need a motion for Alderman Crane?
We need to take a roll call first.
Okay.
And then do a motion for all.
You want to do it?
Okay,
Call
Alderman.
order the meeting, Streets and Alley Traffic Committee, March 31st, 2025. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Alderman Patak.
Here.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman LaVerry.
Present.
Alderman Jepson.
Present.
Alderman Herndon.
Here.
Alderman Crane. And Chairman Bassador.
Here.
I move we allow Alderman Crane to attend electronically.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, one more roll. Sorry. Alderman Patak.
Here.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman LaVerry.
Aye.
Alderman Jepson.
Present.
Alderman Herndon.
Here.
Alderman Crane. Alderman Crane. Thank you. And Chairman Bassador.
Here.
Okay.
Ready to roll?
Whatever.
Number one, approval of the minutes, Streets Alley Traffic Committee meeting held March 17th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number two, discussion potential recommendation regarding a request from John Edel for accessible pedestrian signals throughout the city of LaSalle, including the crosswalk at St. Vincent's and Roosevelt Street and related matters. Want to tell us about it, John?
Well, I think it was for a visually impaired, so they were looking, I believe, for like a countdown clock at where it could an audible countdown. We are currently looking at two separate locations for the schools. We have a crossing at O'Connor and 351, and another one at Lindbergh and 351. One for Lincoln School and the other one for Northwest. This is a block north. They wanted St. Vincent Roosevelt, so this is a block north of there, the one at O'Connor. Dealing with IDOT, we've gotten approval to at least put one there. We in both locations, but we do not have like an exact location. We just got we'll have to submit where we want to put them. They aren't the countdown, they're basically the flashing lights, just acknowledging, letting the traffic know that somebody's crossing. It's a safety issue for both schools. That's the reason we were looking at this. This wasn't even part of the request. Each signal not installed just for the solar. Each location is approximately $15,000 just for the equipment themselves. IDOT does not participate in that. That would be a city's cost to install and maintain.
That's just for the equipment, not
That's
installed.
just you usually figure at least 1.5 to 2 times what the equipment is for installation. So you're probably in the $30,000 to $40,000.
We can't do it. We've got to get somebody to do it. I mean, our guys can't do it.
We might be able to. I'm not sure, but you have to put like a different type of foundation, and it is solar, so our guys could possibly do it, but I don't know. I mean,
But this isn't addressing his request. He's asking for, because his mother's blind, correct? So that'd be a whole different picture then, right?
that would be a different location. He wants it at Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And we're planning on O'Connor.
So you were already planning this before this request came in?
This has been in the works for 3 or 4 months.
Are there any grants out there to apply for this?
I don't know.
Yeah,
For
okay.
something like this, I don't know.
But
I mean-
O'Connor makes more sense with the school, and you
Right.
wouldn't put two a block apart,
Correct.
right? So now it doesn't give a red light; it just gives a warning, or what?
It's a very rapid flashing yellow light.
Well, then how does the woman know it's?
That's the thing. We're not
That's
addressing
where
it.
I'm saying that doesn't have an audible countdown. A lot of the locations where you have, we don't have any in town here, but where there's a crosswalk and you push a button, it'll have a countdown. It'll tell you 20 seconds, 15 seconds. I think that's probably what he's looking for.
So when the lights are flashing, they stop.
Yes,
Then they hear,
It'd have to be,
they hear the stuff tells them to go.
right.
but it'd have to be a red light for someone blind, right? To stop traffic or not?
Almost have
I don't know.
Well, in the crosswalk, I believe by law, you're supposed to stop if somebody's in the crosswalk anyway.
I know when you talk about Lindbergh, I go all the time where the cars in front of me don't stop for a kid in the crosswalk, and then, you know, I end up stopping. You know, they're not on the street; they're on the sidewalk, but they're at the crosswalk, and cars in front of me go right past them.
But the flashing yellow beacon light would stop traffic.
Yeah.
But like what this gentleman is requesting is something totally different. I would think it would be very expensive to
It's
do.
similar, but
But
different.
yeah, but like there aren't stoplights there, correct? So then that's from what I gather, what I've seen in the past. It's a crosswalk, right, with the numbers counting down, and it's audible,
Correct.
right?
Now,
I would think that.
I don't know if there's a possibility maybe to make the one out of O'Connor where she could go up a block and over and then back down a block.
Yeah.
I mean, we could ask him if that
Double
would
up
be-
on it.
Yeah, I just want to note, I don't believe the requester is here right now. Otherwise, I'd have him present and speak to you directly, but I did
We-
notify him last
yeah.
week.
Where does the requester live? You know?
I don't have that. Wait, actually, it might be in your packet.
I think they live east on New Roosevelt.
Okay. Yeah. So I
But
think
that-
they, I
that
think
is
they
a
wanted, They wanted to
possibility.
get to the mini mart.
It
right?
is listed on his request. I don't want to necessarily read it aloud for well, you know, he's on St. Vincent Avenue, 1900 block. Say that.
So it is a possibility that we could look at that signal as being a audible one,
Yeah. Combo it up, whatever.
like a countdown.
Jupe
kind
up
of-
on it. Yeah.
I would have to, a guy I've dealt with for 30 years or plus in signal design and
Yeah.
a supplier, he's the one that provided pricing and the literature on the beacons that I was looking for. I can contact him and see what that additional cost would be. These are solar, so we don't have to, I don't know if it can be done solar. I would assume it can be, but that way we don't have to pay for the feed to get an actually connection to it, and we don't have to the maintenance on it. We're not having a monthly bill on it. It would just be a solar.
How much time do you need to get final information on something like that?
I can contact him tomorrow and just
Okay,
see.
so
In 2 weeks, I should
When you
have.
wanna table it for 2 weeks?
Well, I think somebody should talk to the requester and see if that is a possibility to, if we could put it the block north. But we're
Like, how
still,
old is she? Maybe she's
I don't know.
85 and she gotta walk up and over and down and up.
Yeah,
and
I can make
down.
contact with the requester and give feedback to Brian, and we can.
Well,
see.
the other thing we have to consider is it's still $30,000. Is this something, this is something I was requested to come up with a price on what it would take to do this installation, or at least get the equipment. And so, like at Lincoln School, I have the Crossing Plus speed signs, so then you know how fast you're going in a school zone. North, that isn't a school zone, so it doesn't reduce down to 20 miles an hour. So we didn't have that in addition to the flashing beacons. So there's a cost. I think it was $17,000 per crossing set, and then it was another $12,000 to $14,000. I don't remember exactly, for the speed ahead signs too that are solar.
Do they? The two crosswalk lights or whatever, do they talk to each other, or do we have to hardwire them across the street to sync?
Oh no! When you push them, they all go on. Everything
Okay.
goes on.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just curious, is this something the school asked for or requested?
I believe it is, Chief Smajinsky and myself have talked about this. There was a possible donor that was looking at doing some safety improvements and was willing to put some money towards the city. And there has been an occasion or two where the crossing guard didn't call the city and police to let them know that they weren't there or they were ill or whatever the case was, or they were going to be late. So especially on the O'Connor one, that gave us at least a backup for that period of time where there wasn't a crossing guard. So it's kind of it would help in both ways. And the one at Lincoln School, the school uses it back and forth over to the park and the park over to the Twisty. That gets a lot of foot traffic. So we felt that would be good for school, for the park, for everything else.
Why does the Ameren, why do they not take the responsibility for this? It's on the highway,
I mean, IDOT, you mean?
or IDOT, I'm sorry, yeah.
Well, we're responsible for signage along. We're
okay.
responsible for, depending on the leg of which intersection it is. Department of Transportation would only be responsible for it if it was already there and they had to do some improvements to move it. Then it's their responsibility. But they're not, if there's a sidewalk that crosses an improvement that like goes alongside the improvement, it's the city's responsibility to fix those crosswalks or pay for those. So they're responsible for what crosses their highway, not what goes parallel. And that's like the actual concrete. So the signals, this is adding to it. So it's really not there. They will permit it. They will allow us to request it and give us permits for it. But it's not something that they, will pay for.
Well, until you can find out the cost and everything, we ought to table this for 2 weeks. What do you think?
Correct.
I'll second that.
All right.
Well, and I think in that 2 weeks,
We'll network with the requester, and if Brian's proposal or what we've already planned he thinks may be sufficient, I won't bring it back here. But we'll have a further conversation with him and go from there. Is that fair?
yeah, and then if you would like, if I'm instructed to, I can at least provide the cost of the equipment to the finance. So then you have some idea of what we're dealing with, what kind of cost.
But Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here, isn't an APS system associated with the stoplight?
Yes,
Yeah.
but they're not looking. I think
I know
that's
they're not
what
looking for that, but like,
called
I
it.
don't think they have a realistic view of what goes on there, and then I hate kind of putting.
We're not going to put up a signal. Signal, you're talking $300,000 to $400,000.
Exactly.
For a signal.
That's why, it's sad to kind of think that we're gonna worry about expenses versus safety, but sometimes things are out of reach.
Well, and that's where I'm thinking if we can combine the two
Yes.
and still get the same needed effect at O'Connor, then we will do that.
Solve that, okay, all right.
All right, there's a motion and a second to table it for 2 weeks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3, discussion potential recommendation regarding request from Johannes Bus Service to create a 4-way stop at the intersection of 6th and Crozet Street.
Do we have anyone from the bus service here that would like to present? Would you be able to come up to the microphone and address the committee? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Christina Croisant. I'm with Johannes Bus. The Minta Academy School is on the corner of 6th and Crozet across from the park. Currently, there's no school zone speed limit signs on any of the directions. So I'm requesting a stop sign be put there. There's approximately 15 plus buses and cars and vans every day that go through there. There's also a flight risk of students. There's actually a situation that happened today and the student ran right out in front of a car that didn't have to stop. So I'm requesting a stop sign for a 4-way.
How long have you folks been using that facility, the school?
We don't use the facility. Minta does, and they have been there for a little bit over a year now.
Oh,
How
okay.
many students actually go there?
It's growing.
Approximately.
Roughly 70.
She's the bus company, not the school.
How many buses are there?
I have one bus and 2 vans, but I know there's at least 15 buses, full-size school buses.
See, because, well, when it was St. Roke's and LaSalle Catholic, my kids went there for 8th grades and we never had a stop sign there.
Probably should have had one though, when you think
know,
about it. Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know why you're having any trouble now.
It's a behavioral school.
Yeah.
It's a behavioral
Well,
school.
when you got 1st and 2nd graders,
Oh,
But
we're
that's,
running out in traffic too.
there's a lot of congestion there though.
Yeah,
Especially, yeah.
in the midst of dropping and picking up all of these students, I also have LaSalle Northview pre-K getting off and on there at the same time.
Yeah, there's a,
So now you got
usually,
3 and 4 year
what time
olds.
is it, about 3 or 3:30 or so?
They get out at 2:30.
Okay, and you can see the buses and stuff over there. There's a lot of
we
congestion.
also need the school zone signs, like she said.
Yeah,
Oh, I can see the
I
sign.
don't know if we took them down because there should have been some there at one time.
well, it
Probably
hasn't been
over
a
on-
school there for a long time.
Probably over on
Which I remember.
Tontai too, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, Lighted Way is on the opposite block over on Tontai and 6th, and that is a 4-way stop.
Yeah.
But the majority of our
Yeah.
traffic comes from the east to the west because that's the flow of traffic in the
Yeah.
side of the service door of the
Yeah.
buses. So it's facing the school.
Right away isn't there
can
any
I make a
longer,
few-
but it's a different
quick-
school now.
Sure.
It will be, Crozet is a federal aid route. And we have a stop sign at Route 6, which is a federal aid route. We have a stop sign at 8th Street, which is a federal aid route, and a stop sign at 11th Street. Well, we don't have one at 11th Street, but that is a federal aid route. Crozet is considered a collector, a thoroughfare, and without a warrant analysis on that, I don't believe we can put up a stop sign. And for a 15 minutes a day or whatever will never warrant a stop sign. So I think we should investigate other avenues to help with the congestion. It's a tough thing to do a stop sign on a federal aid route.
I can say that in the afternoons, it's about 45 minutes, not 15. They do one student at a time, bringing them out for each school. So if they bring one student out, they'll go back in and get another one.
But I think we need, I guess in my discussion with this, is there something that the city or the bus services can work with the school or do no parking in front of the school so you can stack 4 or 5 buses or something that will help. I don't see us getting a warrant, an analysis that will allow a stop sign on that corner.
I understand. I only have one bus there.
Right.
So, yeah, you mentioned
I have
earlier
one.
you had 15 buses. Do you mean just one school bus or 15
I
school
have
buses?
one school bus. You also have Ottawa, Marcel's, Princeton, Streeter.
So these are students from
Midland,
all over to
They're
where,
all over the Illinois Valley that come there. And then you have all the parents' vehicles. And then I know I have a car and a van that picks up as well, along with all the other schools with cars and vans.
Has the school identified this issue as well?
We've talked about it numerous
Acknowledged.
times, and they said that they're pretty much locked. Like, unless they shut down the entire road and have them line up, there's really nothing that they can do about it.
Yeah, because the biggest congestion is going south on Crozet.
Correct.
Yeah. Because the cars double up with the bus
Correct.
and then nobody else can get by.
Yeah, there's no parking on the east side going north, only on the south side. And then you got the residential parking out in front of their houses too, which starts right behind the school.
That's where the street narrows.
Yep.
Well, like Brian said, we gotta go. If it won't put it up, but if you want, for the next meeting, we'll put up some signage.
I think signage would be good.
Okay, that might help. Let's see if that works.
And go from there. Yeah.
Okay, how does that sound?
Okay.
and what time does this happen? What time does the school out in the
School's out at 2:30.
2:30? You think it's a 45-minute ordeal? Or she's a,
Approximately 45
all right,
minutes.
all right.
I'm concerned because they do flee. I had a second grader run away in front of a car today.
Okay.
So,
All right, Frank, you wanna put that?
Yeah, what is the
Streets and
signage going to?
alleys 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay, the signage we're going to
We'll
discuss
get
at that.
and we'll see if that helps.
Okay, what is the signage going to read?
School
I don't
zone's
know.
not
School zone.
School zone.
20
Yeah,
mile
you
an
know
hour is
how-
when children
how
present.
you did it, how you did it up by, LP, you know, they put the signs, the yellow sign.
Okay, I'll
Tell
review
them
that.
just like they did at LP.
We'll do. Okay, and then we'll come back to it and see if that assists at all.
Can we do that on Tontai too? The other schools at Sixton, the other schools at Sixton, Tontai, right? The old Light Way building is a school too.
That was a daycare.
Huh? Daycare? Yeah, that's still.
We'll see how that works.
Okay.
It's not a
Moving on.
regular school now anymore.
Huh? Yeah, it's a daycare then, a bilingual daycare?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
People, excuse
Some
me,
do like it.
excuse me.
Yeah.
People park on it right next to the park, right? Okay, so that's where the congestion is.
Yes, there's a church on the southeast side. The park is on the southwest
side,
side,
yeah.
and then the school is on the
What's that?
northwest side.
But they park facing south on the, right
Oh,
by
yeah,
the
yeah.
park, which also creates more congestion. Okay, good enough.
All right,
Thank
we're
you.
gonna put
Thank
signage up.
Thank you.
Number 4, discussion, potential recommendation regarding replacing a streetlight at Fifth and Crozet.
So
I was past there and it's up, it's on the north.
yeah, we did originally after the last meeting. We reached out to Ameren, and they acknowledged that the light had come down, was supposed to be put back up. They said that they were going to get on that right away. I've not driven past the location now, but you said you've driven past it and seen that the light is back up. It was not up when Brian and I had visited.
The pole is there, but
There's
there's
a
no
light
light.
on the pole.
It's awful dark then.
Well, they didn't turn
They
it
might
on.
have just did it today. They might have finished.
Yeah, they said they were going to get in touch with me, but they didn't.
Yeah.
There was a light on the pole when I come
Okay,
down.
well, I didn't see it yet tonight.
Okay. Number 5, any old business? Any new business? Any comments from the floor? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?